Good morning. I thought that I was this is weird, okay? So yesterday I was able to put myself in front of the overlay. Oh, I see. You guys give me a second. Give me a second. I'm going to fix this. I have it as overlay. So yesterday I was doing background instead of overlay. Y'all, y'all see what a newbie I am to this? So hold on, y'all. Okay, so that's fixed. So now let me delete the overlay. Okay, there we are. Good morning, everyone. Whenever you should see this, this is a upload, so there will be no one in the chat room. Um, although I do miss the chat room, you guys. But sometimes when I'm looking at the chat, I get distracted, and I want to make sure that I deal with the points, as you can tell. So, as it says in this title, there is no in the description, there is no right answer, you guys. There isn't. For love, for the perfect relationship, for a lasting marriage, for success in your career, for success in life, for, you know, creating that book, whatever it is you're trying to do, starting that fitness group, whatever it is that you're trying to do, there is no equation for it. And what am I talking about? Well, I feel like since I've been on social media, what I see a lot is people come on social media for many reasons. But the main reasons that I see, number one, is to get information, right? Whether it's to fix something, whether it's to learn how to do something. That's I think the main reason that people come on social media. The second reason is for just flat out entertainment, to laugh, to have a good kiki, all right? To, um, you know, almost replacing television. Social media has become that source of entertainment. And another thing that I see a lot of, it kind of goes back to number one, which is information, but people trying to find information to fix things in their life. So not just fixing things physically, but fix things, repair things, from a social dynamic, right? Directly relating to them. So, with all that being said, I felt that there was a need for me to talk about this. No, I am not a relationship expert, but I'm someone who's had quite a few relationships, some successful, some not. And I know right there and there, somebody's going to say, well, if it didn't last, it wasn't success. See, that's where I disagree. Because, in the words of Tyler Perry, some people are meant to come into your life for a season, and some are deep rooted, honey. Some people are there to stay. And it's basically for you to figure out who is who. But I'm the type of person, I don't believe in regretting anything. I don't believe in regrets. I believe in learning from the mistakes that we make and moving forward. And do so without repeating the same mistakes over and over and over. That's what I believe in. Because if you regret, first of all, regrets don't do anything. They don't change the past. They don't make it better. They don't make it go away. They don't do anything for your future. You've got to put in the hard work. But before you can put in the hard work to make sure that that mistake doesn't affect your future, you've got to acknowledge it and acknowledge and accept it. Yes, this is where I went wrong with this person. This is where we went wrong. So now you can move forward. And I think so often with a lot of people, they're unable to move forward because they never acknowledge it. They never acknowledge the mistakes of the past. And so if you don't do that, you can't deal with the future. There is no equation. So oftentimes when I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't really come online and search out relationship advice because it's not an interest of mine. I'm gonna be quite frank. Um, in the knowledge that I give to you guys is literally knowledge, my own personal experiences. But one thing about me, I'm very authentic and very genuine. I will never come on here and tell you guys something that I do not believe is true. That's why you don't hear a whole lot of ridiculousness come out of my mouth. Usually it's very reasonable, usually it's very rational, and usually, almost certainly, it's very well thought out before I even say it. Because I don't want to be responsible or feel responsible for someone listening to me and me giving them horrible advice that could potentially affect their life in a negative way. I never want that on my conscience. So you will never hear me say anything crazy far as giving advice. It won't happen. So, let's go down some of the talking points, some of the things, some of the hot button issues. And no, I don't have it written out, but we've all heard them a million times, so we can just go through some of them. There is a list going around. There's a YouTuber called The Man. I had the pleasure of meeting him a time or two on a panel that I was on. And this list has traveled the internet, okay, especially in this space. So I'm going to name some of the things on the list. Okay, so this list is supposed to be directives for young men, men to stay away from women that have these things or conduct themselves in these type of ways, right? But the issue with the list, and I think most people would agree, is that the list almost encompasses every type of woman. Every type of woman. So on the list, stay away from her if she has tattoos. Okay. So I'm out, boom, I'm out the box. Stay away from her if she wears false nails, if she wears false hair, if she wears false lashes, if she wears makeup. I mean, that's like damn near 90% of women, I think, all over across the board. So I don't know who they're going to date. So no makeup, no hair color at all. That again is a lot of women. Hell, that's senior citizens. How many of us have grandparents or whatever that've been dyeing their hair for years? Okay, so that's a whole lot of women. Oh, and if they like to eat out at restaurants, if they've had any type of cosmetic surgeries, like a gastric bypass for the weight and any type of surgery for cosmetic reasons, you got to stay away from those women. What else was on the list? I've almost got this list memorized because I could not believe it. And I only seen it a couple times, but I was like, wow, this is like most of the female population here. So it doesn't leave very much for men to choose from if they're going by this list. So I think you guys get the point. And I was going to share it, but I don't want to get a copyright. I just want to keep this nice and clean and respectful, okay, to other creators. So that's the gist of the list, right? But like I said, that rules out so many. It doesn't really leave a lot for men to choose from. And that's a problem. There's several things. There's several reasons that list is a problem, but that's the main problem. And the second problem is that it's all superficial. It's all superficial. Now, true indeed, people have the right to like what they like. But you've got to be careful when you're choosing a person to be in your life. And I mean any type of person. I'm not talking about just intimate relationships. I'm talking about friendships, whatever, associations. When it's strictly physical things, there's a problem. Because as adults, we all know that those things do not tell the full story. Okay, that cover does not tell the story of what's inside. And ultimately that's right there, the determining factor. That's the gift or the curse. What's inside? How long a woman's nails are not going to tell the story of that woman. Because guess what? There's a little surprise for you fellas. Every woman can dress up or dress down, tone up or toot it up at some point. And that woman is still that woman. There's an old saying, put lipstick on a pig, but guess what? It's still a pig. Okay. And so, I know the women know what I'm talking about because we probably all have known women that might seemingly look a certain way, innocent or whatever, and heart was cold on the inside, had major issues on the inside. So there's lots of issues with this. His whole thing is bypassing. Basically, what it is stereotypes. Unfortunately, with media and other things alike, we have stereotypes out there of what, quote unquote, a ghetto woman looks like. Okay, when we close our eyes, some of us envision that type of woman, a woman with the extra long, I call them porn star nails, and the different color weaves. And this is ignorance. I mean, flat out, that's what it is. It's ignorance. What tickles me, and they have done studies. I keep on saying I'm gonna do a show about this. Is that a lot of men? What I found is a lot of men don't even realize that most women wear everything on that list. Most women, all women, from young to old, have some kind of check on that list, even when they don't even realize it. I'll never forget, I was watching another show and a YouTuber, he was like, she doesn't have any makeup on. And I'm sitting there looking at the makeup, looking at the eyeliner, looking at the lashes, looking at the highlighter, looking at the lip gloss. And I'm like, okay, he really thinks she doesn't have makeup on because it's clear or because it's light or because it matches her skin tone. She still has makeup on. Hers is just toned down. I think a better way to go about that list, which I don't believe in lists, okay, you guys, and I'm gonna get to that later. I don't believe in the whole checking them off because no one is perfect and no one's gonna hit all the lists. No one's gonna hit all the lists all the time or even come close to the list all the time because we're human and we're not perfect. And then when you start bringing out the list on someone else, you got to be prepared for them to bring out the list on you. Okay, where are your check marks? And I never wanted to be judged that way, especially on exterior things. I always felt like I had so much more to offer. And you guys should feel that way about yourselves, that you have so much more to offer than just on the exterior. The mind is a powerful thing. And the heart is without boundaries if you open yourself up to it. So this whole checklist thing, is ridiculous to me. But, if you were to say, if a woman, I think it needs to be a lot more refined to just say, oh, she's got hair color in her hair. Well, there's a lot of grannies with hair color in their hair, honey. Maybe you just don't realize it because it's natural hair color, but they still have hair color. And hair and nails and the decorating of hair and nails has been around for centuries. That's not going to stop. And a lot of this quote unquote natural beauty that y'all think is natural beauty is not so natural. Let me just say, there's a lot of help that goes on with that. Okay, I woke up like this. Okay. You woke up like this, but you had some treatment on the side, honey. You best to believe. And that's why I'm not really into aesthetics on that level, as far as talking about it and what people need to do to it. No, 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 no. Because listen, it's easy to fix those things if you really want to be honest. If you have an issue with your smile, you can go see an orthodontist, straighten it out, whiten it, go to a cosmetic dentist, whiten it up, get it real pretty, get some veneers. Easy, boom, bam, your teeth are straight. You have an issue with your body, you can go to a plastic surgeon, lift this, pull this, tuck that, boom, bam. Okay. You're the next Kim K. So if you have the money and you're able to afford those things, it can be done very simply. It's harder to work on yourself. It's harder to work on the inside. There are people that have been working on themselves for years and still can't do it. They need help to do it. And then you have some people that are, like I said, don't even see their own faults. And so they don't even know that they have stuff to work on. And they have a whole lot to work on. So focusing on that stuff that can be, corrected so easily, to me is doesn't make much sense. Because once again, especially if you're looking for the type of relationship that you want to last a long time, you have to deal with this person through all those things. Anything can happen that can change those things. They can get into an accident and, God forbid, lose a limb. I was watching, I forgot which talk show. I think it was Maury. This was a long time ago, but I remember it because the lady, her face, she was a model, and her whole face, she was in a bad accident, and her whole face was permanently scarred. There was a lady on Dr. Phil who had acid thrown on her. Okay. Man was cheating at another woman, jealous, threw acid on her face, and half her face, beautiful woman, boom, in an instant gone. Is she worthless now? Is she still the same person on the inside? She's still the same person on the inside. But now, because of that trauma, of course, she's got things to work on because of the trauma that she went through. But ultimately, she is still the person she was on the inside that she was before the accident. And that's my point. So going off that list just doesn't make sense to me. So now that I've got that, I've rambled on about that. Now let's get down to the goods, honey, the golds, the jewels that mahogany is known to drop. All right. And that's the advice part. All right. So you're saying to me, okay, mahogany, well, you say not to go on this list, then how can I tell? Time tells. Truth be told, time tells. Now, people, as you get to know someone, as you get to vet them, people will show themselves. You can only pretend about so long. And during those times, you take notes. See, because, okay, I'm going to go back to the list. We're going to use these in my examples today. So you meet a beautiful young girl at the mall, right? And she has all those things. She has the hair, the nails, the makeup. She works at a cosmetic counter. But she's so beautiful, you have to step to her. So you step to her and you said, excuse me, miss, but I had to come talk to you because you were so beautiful. I just couldn't turn away. Blah, blah, blah. You shoot your little game. You ask for a number. And let's say it's your lucky day. She gives it to you. Or better yet, it's her lucky day. She takes it. Come to find out, you talk to her a little bit. She don't even really like makeup, but she does it because it's her job. As a matter of fact, and then you find out, you don't really believe it at first, but then you come to find out every time you see her, when you guys meet up, she don't really have it on. She might have on, maybe the nails, because she don't take those off, or maybe she has the lashes on, or she has, a couple of stuff, but she's not fully done the way you saw her in the mall. Do you see where I'm going with this, you guys? Do you see how your perception of somebody can be very skewed if you're just judging them right off the bat? Okay, so now, because I'm fair over here, I'm gonna flip the script. I'm gonna do it with a young man. All right, ladies, so you see a guy and he's working a blue collar job, right? He's a mechanic. Nice looking guy, but when you meet him, he's fixing your car, he asks you out. You think he's cute, so you accept the number. And after some time of you guys dating and you get to know him, when he's not at work, he's actually very cultured, very, very cultured. And he's working this job, you know, to get him through to help his parents to do whatever. But if you had just looked at him right off the bat and just said, well, he's dirty, his nails are dirty, he's got oil all over his face, and he's got that raggedy nasty tank top on, he's all sweaty, I don't want to be around that. Well, then you would have missed out, right? So it's the same thing. Don't judge a book on its cover, right? I thought we all knew this, but somehow I'm finding that in this space, it's like we're going back in time to where we don't know the simple things of life, the simple lessons, the simple, easy lessons. So simple, but yet people seem to have a problem with them. Okay, so let's go on to another example. Someone who we'll do the surgery. So, guy sees this lady in the mall. She has a fantastic physique. Okay, fantastic. And they get together, or they exchange numbers. They end up, going on a couple of dates. Come to find out, none of the physique is real. I mean, fake. Everything was fake. And finally because one day she comes out, say they're going out for a walk or whatever, she comes out the room and the booty's gone. Like, what happened to the booty? What happened to the booty that I followed halfway across the mall? What's going on? And she says to you, oh, that, I just do that for the Insta. I just do that for this, but this is the real me. Now, in a situation like that, I do believe a guy could be and should be a little upset because she wasn't upfront with it. It was definitely some deception, but upset enough to it's never listen, when you're dating, you're trying to learn each other. You're trying to figure each other out. So now So basically at this point, you have the right to stick with that situation or you have the right to walk away. But it's never any reason to go off because at the end of the day, it was her body, it was never yours. That's another thing that goes on. A lot of people telling people what to do, with themselves, whether or not they should wear makeup, whether or not how they should dress, whether or not this is feminine or this is not. No, no, no. If it's not your cup of tea, then you leave it alone. You leave it at the table and let somebody else drink it. But it's not your business to try and make or force somebody to be something that they're not. If she's not for you, she's not for you. If you're okay with it, then you're okay with it. Okay, so we're going to do that on the flip side. Ladies, you see a guy, you and your girls, you're out at a basketball game. You see this guy playing basketball. He's very athletic. He's very energetic. He's, out making just all that. You guys get together. Come to find out after about a month of dating, well, the basketball season is over. And you're thinking, well, this guy is so energetic and so sociable and so popular. He's got to be about his business outside of this, right? He's got to have something else going on outside of this. Come to find out, he's not interested in anything except basketball. So basically, when he's not playing or practicing, he has no time for you, no time to do anything physical with you, physically, as far as helping. Like, let's say that you need help with some yard work. He's not going to do it because it's not basketball. Now, ladies, at that very point in time, you have a decision to make. Are you willing to put up with that because of his physical attributes that you thought he had, that he was so, because he looked real quote unquote masculine, right? Out there playing basketball, running up and down the court, sweating. You know what I'm saying? Got you all hot and bothered. Come to find out, he's that's the only time he works out. Any other time he's on the couch and you can't get him to move, to do anything. To pass you the salt shaker, honey, he will not get up and move. So now you have a decision to make. Is he your cup of tea, or do you leave that cup at the table? And you see where I'm going with this, you guys. This stuff goes both ways. There is no equation. There is no equation. All right, so now that I've harped on the list now, I learned a lot by watching other people, and I stumbled onto this guy YouTuber. He looked to be a pastor from the material, because I always watch, and I always tell you guys to watch more than one video to really get a feel for a YouTuber, because the videos can vary. I am living proof that a content creator can be very multidimensional. Okay. So I watched several of his videos, and from what I could gather, he seemed to be a pastor, but also a relationship guy. And he was talking about being lonely in a marriage. And he was basically telling women to be careful not to be desperate. He didn't use that word, but I'm going to use that word because that's what it is. When you rush into a marriage because you feel like you have to, because you feel like you have to have somebody. And men do it too, but it's different with men, but I'm going to deal with the women. When that's desperation. Because everybody's telling you that this is something else that we hear, that your clock is ticking, and basically, after a certain amount of years, you're useless. You can't, you have nothing to give to society. Your main purpose is over with. Lies. Absolute lies. First of all, let's get this straight. There are plenty of people on the planet, and for whatever reason or other, are not able to have children. That does not make them worthless or useless. To say that is to say that there was no reason for them to be living. So we're going to just stop that right now. But getting back to y'all, sometimes I get so frustrated with some of the things that I hear on here. But at the same time, it goes back to being happy with yourself at first, loving yourself at first, before you can even think about being in a relationship, a successful one. Because if you're not, you're going to be leaning on that person, looking for that person to create your happiness. And if you can't create your own happiness, they're damn sure enough not going to be able to do it, because you should know yourself better than anybody else, right? So if you can't do it, they for sure can't do it. And that's way too much pressure to put on anybody. But he was telling the story of a woman who rushed to get married, and it was all physical, right? They were all hot and bothered in the beginning of a relationship. And then over time, she started feeling ignored. She was being ignored pretty much. There was so much so that they lived separately for many years. And we know that this happens a lot in relationships. People don't necessarily divorce, but they'll live separately for a long period of time because they're not sure. Maybe they're not sure what they want to do, or maybe they just don't want to even give the marriage any type of effort at all. So they just separate and leave it at that. But, she had confided in him, the pastor, this information. And y'all, that's a whole nother subject. I believe in seeking therapy and seeking counsel, but it needs to be definitely with a professional person that is going to keep your stuff confidential, and then also be fair with it. A lot of pastors have a bad reputation because sometimes their motives are not in a pure place. Now, I don't know this man, and I'm not saying that about him. I know nothing about him. For all intents and purposes, I believe that him listening to her story was completely upright and upstanding. Okay. But I'm just saying, you know, it reminds me of, I grew up in the church, y'all, and I've seen a lot of things. And there's a reason that oftentimes a lot of men do not feel comfortable going to church. Who do you see in the church? It's like 90% women, and older women at that. And there's lots of reasons for that. But one of the reasons you don't see a lot of men in the church because there's this whole hierarchy thing. And women tend to go tell their problems to the pastor. And I'm gonna be honest, it's very one-sided. And that's not proper counseling. That's not proper therapy. Therapy is fair and balanced and honest and truth. And sex should have nothing to do with it. So anyway, and motives should have nothing to do with it. But basically, she was alone in this marriage, stuck paying on the bills because after he moved out, he did no longer help pay the bills of the household, which she and the children were in the household. He went out and got his own place, and completely ignored the rest of the household bills, left her pretty much stranded. And this is from her perspective, of course, because she's the one telling this to him. Now, when you do stuff out of desperation, this is what you get. You pretty much lay yourself down to be a doormat, and you're going to be treated that way. If you lay yourself down on the ground like a doormat, people are either going to do one or two things. They're going to step over you, or they're going to step on you. One or two things. That's the only thing they can do. Remember that. With the men, with the men, getting married out of desperation, maybe they're older now. Men do things a lot, I find, out of this persona that they're trying to live up to. This persona of manhood that they feel, a lot of times it's about their career. If they're in politics, they might feel like they need to have a wife to make them look like a quote unquote true politician. Or if they're even, in a very professional setting, they're a lawyer, they're a doctor, they feel like they have to have the wife, the kids, the picket fence, because that's the image that they're trying to put out there. And so they might feel the need to get married. Desperation. But because their feelings, and they never truly really wanted a marriage for what a marriage is, which is the ongoing work. I mean, that's really what it is. It's ongoing work. It's not something that you just do and wake up and everything's hunky-dory every single day. Because you're dealing with people who have moods that change. They go through things. They have emotional breakdowns. They have physical accidents that affect the lady, for instance, that was in the horrible car accident. They have, they lose jobs. They might go into a depression because they don't have a job. And you're expected to hold that person down. That's what a marriage is. It's basically being that person's backbone. It's not just the woman that's the backbone. I need for people to understand that a woman needs a man to be strong, just like a man needs a woman to be strong too. You need each other. It's not just this one-way thing. And a lot of people, I feel like, that have never been married, it seems as if they don't understand that you're depending on one another. You're leaning on one another. It's not one way. Because if your woman is down and out, whatever it is, it's a hormonal issue. Let's say she just had a baby and she's going through depression. She's gained some weight. And, Maybe she used to have a certain type of lifestyle and now she's a stay-at-home mom. That can be very traumatic for a person not to have a baby. Because I know I have to break things down to some of y'all. Not to have a baby, to the haters that be watching me, not y'all, not my people, but I got a lot of haters. So let me break it down for the haters. For people who act like they don't understand what I'm saying, traumatic to go from, say you have a woman that's very, very athletic. I mean, fitness is her business. Seriously. She's a trainer or whatever. And for her to go from working out every day to not doing anything at all because she has to take care of a baby can be very, very, very difficult for someone like that. That's what I'm talking about, not the baby. And so she might need she's going to need the love and support from her husband at that point. I hear so often, and I can tell that this is coming from mostly single men. A lot of men say, well, a man works all day and he wants peace. Well, women want the same thing too. We want the same thing too. And we can see from being up on these panels that women are the only one that talk, because I'm gonna be quite frank with you. Whenever I'm up on panels with a lot of men, usually and most of the time the women are over talked. We get words in few and far and in between. Most of the time the men lead the panels, which is fine. But it can't be that way all the time, especially not when you're talking about a relationship, a very intimate relationship. Both people have to be able to express themselves in honesty and truth. So, yeah, y'all up. Okay. Because I'm trying to figure, okay, so I'm at 37 minutes. I'm trying to make this go at least 50 minutes, y'all. So, yeah, so you have to be a support to one another. It's not just one way. And you have to be a peace to one another. There are roles that we have, but the roles can cross. I need for people to understand that. The rules can be crossed. And like I've always told y'all, do what works for y'all. There is no one equation that works for all marriages. That's insanity, because we all have different jobs. We all have different lifestyles. Even down to our environment can affect our marriage. I live down here in the South. So down here, let me see if I can give you an example. In my lifestyle, it's very warm down here most of the year. So women dress, we don't like a whole lot of clothes down here, down south in the summertime. But also, I feel like women down here are pretty active outside a lot, maybe more than, I don't know. So y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But women down here tend to be outside a lot, whether we're walking in the malls, not just on the beach and bike riding and doing all this stuff, fishing and, but we're outside a lot versus maybe way up north, where it snows a lot, the activities they do might be more indoors, right? So a woman down south might wear clothes that might be a little bit more quote unquote promiscuous looking, or, share a light because of the environment that we're in. To be honest, just trying to keep cool. So even environment can play a role in that, in the way people dress and the way that people behave. I have noticed, differences between us and people, say, from up north. The environment up north, from my experience, seems to be a little bit more so down here you can get a really nice summer dress for like $5. I lie to you not. You go to one of them hair stores, honey, you could get you a cute little sunflower dress for $5 to $7 on sale. Okay. Up north, I don't think they have stuff like that. They might, but down here it's more frequent, right? So Up there, it's more about name brand because they got all the fancy department stores and stuff like that. We have that too, but it's mostly, people down here are dressing for comfort. So that's what I'm trying to say. Long story short. And so even your environment can affect your relationship. It really can. Up north, a lot of people don't have cars because they don't need it. They ride the train. Down here, women and men have cars. All right. So let's say that a woman down here to be catching the bus or whatever, and she has a husband, that would be kind of frowned upon because it'd be like, okay, why does your husband have you walking? Why does your husband have you catching the bus? It would be looked down upon. But up there, where everybody catches the train, everybody does public transportation, it wouldn't be looked down upon. Now, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Okay, it took me forever to get that out. But our environment also affects our relationships, right? So okay, that brought me to another. I'm just coming up with these examples. I know at my old job, we were doing a carpool thing because we were doing a save the environment thing where it was for that month it was conserve gas. And so everybody, and it was also a thing to kind of promote us getting closer together and bonding with one another as coworkers. So we were all carpooling that month. This was before COVID, yes. We were carpooling to save money and to bond. That was the idea of the HR people. Okay. So there we were carpooling. Well, to somebody who's up north, they might think that's weird. Oh, so you rode in Tyrone's car. You know what I'm saying? Well, Tyrone, me, and Misha rode in Tyrone's car. It wasn't just me, but to someone from a different environment, that might be weird to them. That might be unacceptable to their idea of a relationship. There are people out there that are like that. If you ask me, I think there's some levels of insecurity with that, but I'm not even going to go there. Because if you cannot trust your loved one out of your sight for 1 second, or around the opposite sex for 1 second without thinking something wrong, then there's some insecurity issues for sure. And it might not be the fault of that person at all, that you have those issues. You need to deal with those issues. Because the fact is, people are social beings, and you're always going to be around other people. You're always going to be around people of the opposite sex, unless you live in a bubble. What you going to do? Lock them down in chains? Okay, I mean it's craziness. The way some people want to live their lives and want you to live your life. So I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Vet, 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 because everybody does not have the same idea of what a relationship should be. And you can assume all you want, but then once you put those rings on those fingers and you find out, hey, this person expects me to give up all of my social life for it to be all about them, you might not be happy with that. But because you were desperate to have a certain title of wife or husband, now you have to deal with that. Because men go through that too, where they're with a woman so insecure that if they even think that he's looking at another woman, he's got hell to pay when he gets home. And that's not his fault. That's on her. Vice versa. Anybody, and that's anybody that thinks a marriage or a relationship has to revolve solely, like there can be no other important relationships other than that relationships, they really do not understand marriage. Now, true enough, you to cleave to your husband or your wife, but it's not to the point to where you isolate and block out everybody else, because once again, we're social beings and we need one another. We need one another. So if you were to do that, if you were to isolate yourself, and I have to do this, you guys, I have to give you guys examples of exaggerated type of people, because this is what's out there. This is what's out there on the market. saying that they want a relationship. And I'm telling you to beware. I'm telling you to not be desperate. I'm telling you to vet these people. I'm telling you to not make moves so quick and fast because you think that you're old or you think you have to have somebody. I suggest you learn how to love and be with self first. And then if somebody should come along, or you should find somebody that they can add to, and you can add to them. But looking for someone to fulfill you can get you in a whole heap of trouble that you can't get yourself out of. The damage, my last video was about abuse. The damage that emotional abuse can do to you can be ever changing. So, the last thing I was saying was I was talking about, like it's so, even without the chat, I get distracted. Y'all help, y'all. Okay, so what was the last? Oh God, let me look. This is why I have to write things down, y'all. I have to write things down. I forget. Okay. So the point was, okay, I dealt with the rushing. Don't rush into people. I hate it when I do this, y'all. And then I'm going to listen to this video and then be like, oh, that's what I was talking about. Give me a second, y'all. It'll come back to me. Oh. So what happens with, I guess I did deal with it. What happens at the end of it all, once you start dealing with somebody and they have this idea that no other relationship is important, what happens when you don't have that person? And like I said, it doesn't always come from a evil, wicked place, but you got to understand that it's not healthy. You got to recognize when a relationship is not healthy. So what happens, God forbid, when you don't have that person around, but you've isolated your whole entire family? You stop calling. You stop coming to family events. You stop doing this. But now that person is gone, unfortunately. And now guess who you have to ask? Guess who you have to humble yourself to and ask for help? The family that you stopped talking to because of this person. You understand? So those type of relationships are not healthy. And often because we love those people, we will end up doing those things. End up destroying other relationships for the sacrifice of one. And in a real loving situation, you shouldn't have to do that. They should build on top of one another. Your family should come together, not divide. All right, so I think I've touched most of the points that I meant to touch on this live. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. If you're new, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Peace, you guys. I'll see you guys soon with another video.